to pinch hit tonight for Ed. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight's topic is the hacktivist group Anonymous, a group who does not forgive their legion. Is their actual motto, not the thing for V for Vendetta that I said,
yeah,
said
actually,
at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, actually, the only thing that has to do with Anonymous is the Guy Fawkes.
The Guy Fawkes mask,
yeah.
for sure. And that they're potentially a revolutionary, you know, anti-establishment or anti-government group, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But that's what's so crazy about Anonymous, as we're going to discuss tonight, is they don't really have a set bunch of rules or a set example that is their goal.
No, they are a decentralized group that has no leaders, has no ranking system. They are just
strictly anonymous.
They are just strictly anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, it's nobody. You know, there are very few people. In fact, there aren't any people that you can say are members of Anonymous.
No.
That you can say their actual name. There are some people that have internet code names. The only people whose names are known are a handful of ex-members who have come out, or a handful of people
gotten caught.
Yeah, gotten caught. A couple of them have gotten caught. A couple of them actually have become FBI informants, which we'll get to later in the show, because that's kind of a different topic when it comes to Anonymous. Yeah, and yeah, and like Dorf said, a couple that have gotten caught, and a couple who have just kind of come clean and said, I'm no longer part of the group.
Yeah. But that's how it has to be, though.
Oh, absolutely.
For the shit that they do, that's how it has to be. You can't know who these people are, or else not only would it not be anonymous, but the group wouldn't be effective.
Absolutely. So, if you guys want to start, we're going to kind of jump around tonight talking about them, because we just kind of want to be informative and give our opinions, too, on it a little bit, but just talk about this. But the origins of Anonymous, because they've been around for quite some time now. Maybe not the true origin, but the thing that really put them on the radar and, really made them famous was the Scientology thing. Mm-hmm. That is, they decided basically to have an all-out war on Scientology after a little bit after the whole Tom Cruise jumping on the couch on Oprah thing, and some Scientologists doing some really goofy things out in the open. That's when they kind of banded together for one of the first times, and put together not just assaults on the internet on them, but actually got together in real life as people wearing Guy Fawkes masks, outside Scientology areas. They stopped to just, basically just shut down the, I don't know if commerce is the right word, but the ins and outs of Scientology in certain areas, just simply by crowding around and bringing attention to it and holding signs, say honk if you hate Scientology, or whatever else. But this is the thing that really put them on the map, in my opinion, and it's also partially what defines them, and also partially what has caused certain schisms in the world of Anonymous. Again, but it's hard to say what a schism is, because is it just one person who's disagreeing with another one person inside Anonymous? Or, there does at times appear to be some sort of structure, some, you can see the agendas they have that really come to fruition have an air about them where there's some sort of centralized handful of people at least putting together something.
Yeah, I think, just because you're not a centralized group, so to speak, doesn't mean that you can't be organized to some extent.
Sure.
I mean, there is a level of organization within the group too. I mean, there has to be, in some sense. Not to say that there's a central leadership role within it, but you have to be organized in some sense. And ironically enough, our next topic for Politics of the Empire is anarchism, which we may be getting into a little bit tonight with the show, but we will be doing anarchism next week with Politics of the Empire, so maybe it's good in a sense that Dorf is on tonight too, so we can kind of preview that. But yeah, I think there has to be, like I said, there has to be a sense of organization within the group itself, just so they could be able to direct and really, take on these large organizations, whether it's Scientology or any of these other groups they've been able to take down work. So
yeah, I mean, and you're looking at well over a decade ago that I don't want to say 15 years ago because that might be inaccurate, but definitely well over a decade ago that you started seeing these ideas about Anonymous. And if you trace it back, for the most part, it seems as though it started as a bit of a joke on 4chan, which doesn't everything just start as a joke on 4chan? I think at this point.
Things are jokes on 4chan 6 months before they hit the mainstream.
Right. I mean, that's, every goofy meme you've ever seen, whether it's the cheeseburger cat or the none of my business Kermit meme, whatever it is, they all originate on 4chan.
Or even the ones with the Freddo ones from today, they all start there.
Yeah, absolutely. But their original, before their mantra now is we do not forgive, expect us. But before that, what they were kind of going on, their original motto was none of us are as cruel as all of us. In essence, just saying that we can all just do a tiny little thing, and then it becomes something huge. And in essence, that is kind of where they got their first schism within Anonymous, if you will, especially after the Scientology thing, is that they seem to be divided almost 50-50 on the internet as to whether are we a political activist group or are we doing this for the lulz? Now, that was their biggest thing. It was like, do we have an agenda? Do we want to topple big business or topple corrupt government or go against something, or are we just doing this to be trolls and to make people laugh? And to this day, I think a lot of, if there is any sort of inner struggle going on with Anonymous, it's that. It's that, how serious are they? Sometimes they seem dead serious. And then other times, you want to root for them so hard when they're toppling things you dislike, and then you hear that they just spent a month, sending flashy things to, people so they'd have seizures, or, people who are epileptic or have migraines, and they're just, oh yeah, we just sent them flashy stuff because, LOL. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how they roll, though. They're anonymous. But yeah, I mean, started on 4chan. They definitely drew from there. That's where they debated openly what mask they would use, and they originally, most people don't know this, but they originally wanted the anonymous mask to be a Batman mask. Everybody was supposed to wear a Batman mask, and they're like, Batman masks are kind of expensive and they don't really cover your face, and so they went with the Guy Fawkes thing instead.
Good choice.
They're cheaper and better, and it kind of, the V for Vendetta thing was big, and Guy Fawkes, for in brief British history on Guy Fawkes, is basically a guy who hated the Protestant monarchy. He was a Catholic, as the story goes, but there's a lot of conspiracies and things within that. He wanted to topple it and was trying to plant some explosives underneath the throne, underneath Parliament, basically, and got caught red-handed with a bunch of walking in with a bunch of explosives, and they caught him. And November 5th really wasn't a day. Now it's almost like this thing where we pretend to celebrate Guy Fawkes. No, November 5th was a day where you celebrated the monarchy. It was the day they caught Guy Fawkes. It wasn't. It was a pro government.
He was such an unimportant person in the whole plot in the end. He was just the guy there to guard the gunpowder.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that, and there's actually even kind of a conspiracy within the conspiracy, like he was just set up, like he was a patsy.
Oh, he was a patsy.
Yeah, that he was just kind of there and didn't know. But Guy Fawkes, that is actually to this day, that is when you talk about like, hey, hanging out with the guys, or you're saying, hey, Guy, what's up? That dates back to Guy Fawkes. Actually, that really was just his name, and people in England they used to burn him in effigy on November 5th. And it was just kind of like, yeah, this guy. Oh, I burned this guy, and then we burned this guy, and then we burned that guy. And it just turned into something where you talk about the guys. And then the U.S. version kind of was a little even different than that. It's like, hey, yeah, we're hanging out. Who are you hanging out with? Oh, all the guys, But that's where that stems from. But again, yeah, he was just kind of, their plan, supposedly, his little group of conspirators was get rid of the Protestant king, and I don't really. Then the person who was going to take over if that king died was like his 9-year-old daughter or something, or 10-year-old. I don't know how old the daughter was, but I don't know if they thought then that the government would be more controllable or more lax with a little girl running the show, or that it would just put the country into turmoil or something for a while some kid was crowned, Queen of England. But that's kind of. We digress just to kind of give the little Guy Fawkes story, but yeah, that became a thing, and then it jumped into the V for Vendetta thing, and then what 4chan used to do what's the little meme, the GIF or whatever with is it Epic Fail Man or something, with he looks like Guy Fawkes. And that was their thing that they post. It's like a little stick figure, but he looks like he's wearing the Guy Fawkes mask. And they would post it under that's the origin. He's like Epic Fail Man when somebody said something stupid or their joke didn't work or
I'm in pretty in touch with the memes, Josh, but I think you lost me there.
Oh, look up Epic Fail Man. Yeah,
all right,
it'll pop up. But between that and the V for Vendetta thing, then the Guy Fawkes mask kind of came into existence, and Anonymous adopted that. What's kind of ironic about the Guy Fawkes mask, actually, is that it's owned by Time Warner, the company that made the movie V for Vendetta. So every time you buy one of these Guy Fawkes masks, you're giving a bunch of money to this big business.
AOL Time Warner.
Yeah, you're giving all this money. So they love it. They mass produce them. And they sell them for not much money because they're just mass produced and they own the rights. So it just goes with them. So kind of in some ways, not a big joke, but a little bit the joke's on them that they're just kind of supplying this conglomerate of things that really they dislike because they are people that are controlling. Could be made to say they're controlling free speech or controlling media or something along those lines. So that's, I guess, the story of the mask. But
so I've looked up your meme there, and I don't think I've ever seen that one before.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it either.
Is it what I was saying? Is it the little guy?
Yeah, I mean,
little
it
guy
perfectly
dancing?
Matches your description.
Okay,
but, I've never seen it before.
Okay, yeah, that's from kind of like the infancy of of memes and I think before they were even calling them memes or something. But yeah, the Epic Fail guy means like oh yeah, nice try. Yeah, it didn't work. Epic fail. I want to say that was like before 2010, like 2006-ish or something. Is when Epic Fail Man was popping around. But that has a big deal to do with why they chose the Guy Fawkes thing. I don't even know if Epic Fail Man was supposed to be a Guy Fawkes or if he just looked like him or why. I don't really know the exact history of Epic Fail Man. But one of the first things they did after they kind of got all this going and became the Anonymous we know is the Hal Turner thing. Dorf, are you familiar with Hal Turner at all?
I am not, actually.
Okay, radio personality. I believe he was I don't know if he was in Texas or definitely somewhere in the southwest of the country. Had a somewhat popular radio show, on terrestrial radio, where he was a white supremacist, Holocaust denier, anti-Semite, white supremacist, proud, but proud to be all those things, and pretty hateful show actually. And this isn't like racist, like modern liberal calling you a racist. Like, no, he was a racist, straight up. The guy's
In the classical definition.
right. I mean, just a proud, Holocaust-denying neo-Nazi racist. And basically, Anonymous just shut his show down. They would flood his web pages, which was especially easier to do back then, when the internet wasn't quite as controllable as it is now. But they would just flood his web pages. They would just call his show constantly, just over and over and over again. Call his show, do this, just make it impossible. At one point, they would send stuff to his house, anonymously send packages, and just I think they did like payloads of dirt and stuff, just have it delivered to his house. And basically, since it was a self-funded show, they basically just put him out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, they did stuff that cost him money personally, and did stuff to shut down the show, and it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked. They shut Hal Turner down, and there were some people within Anonymous who nobody was really coming to Hal Turner's defense, but there were some that disapproved of this, because they said, well, all we're doing is stifling free speech, which isn't really our thing. That shouldn't be our thing. But he was such a jerk that
he was a Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, not many people were too against it, and I guess the thing is, like, you couldn't do that for instance, you couldn't do that to Rush Limbaugh. He's too big. He has too big of a following. He would power through it. He would work out. Enough people would rally behind him, but people weren't willing to rally behind Hal Turner, and they shouldn't be.
No.
They shouldn't be willing to rally behind him. Even his supporters aren't going to say, yeah, I'm actually a big Hal Turner fan. No,
catch a show every night.
Yeah, I think I was a scumbag. I mean, for sure. So it's easy to gain praise when you're attacking scumbags, basically.
He lost his injunction too, because he wasn't getting letters. He wasn't getting the mail from the court, which I don't know if Anonymous had anything to do with that or not, but it caused his lawsuit to lapse.
Oh.
And that was the end of that. And which I'm sure.
I know another thing too, because he tried to bring forth an injunction towards the group Anonymous, and he lost simply because basically the judge and lawyer saying, you have a couple of decent points here, but we don't know who to go after.
Yeah, he lost.
And that's, I guess, the beauty or the evil or the goodness of Anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to sue 4chan. He tried to sue E-Bombs World. He tried to sue 7chan too, which I've never heard of 7chan.
Neither have I.
Jeez, is that just a typo for 8chan?
I don't think so. No. It was probably a short-lived version of.
It's a Chan board.
It's a Chan board,
yeah.
But yeah, he lost. He was unsuccessful in, filing lawsuits against any of those.
And in essence, I mean, the chances are Hal Turner's probably doing a podcast somewhere. Everybody is, but the guy's basically been not heard from since this happened. So I mean, it worked. They definitely shut him down for sure. Another one was...
He said at the... Turner stated at the end of March 2019 that he had run out of funds to keep a show that he had on... What was it? It was a shortwave radio station on the internet. It was WBCQ.
Oh, so is it a pirate station or an actual station?
I think it's an actual station. It's an actual short... Wait. No, it seems like it's an actual station. Shortwave. For a time, it says in 2015, he promoted another broadcast over Superstation 95, which is a pirate radio station in the New York City area. But as of this past March, he says he has run out of funds to keep his shows going. So it doesn't sound like he's on the air at all anymore now, which womp womp.
Yeah, I mean, that's... and it just kind of shows, too, that, when Anonymous kind of sets its mind to something, it usually succeeds.
Especially in this sense, too, because you were mentioning a second ago, Josh, like if they targeted a guy like Rush Limbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've certainly targeted big big entities out there.
Certainly.
And they've been successful, but they were never down forever.
No.
I mean, they were able to come back. I mean, for the most part, they were able to take Hal Turner down and basically keep him down.
Right.
I mean, after that, he never was what he once was before that. So
No, definitely not. And and sometimes their goal isn't necessarily. They don't seem to set their sights higher than they can handle, and their goal isn't always to destroy it forever, like it was. It was with Hal Turner. That was their goal, and they accomplished it. But even with Scientology, it's not like they killed Scientology.
no,
I mean, not at all, not even close. But they brought awareness. I mean, people seem to think that they, the normal opinion out there, a regular opinion, is that Scientology is nuts. It's crazy. It's loony. It's a cult.
it is.
And I think a lot of people out there don't really realize that it was Anonymous that brought that to the forefront. I mean, people thought Scientology was weird in the 90s. Yes, they did. But we didn't have the same opinion of it as we have now. It was Anonymous who brought that to the forefront. It was Anonymous who helped expose some of this stuff. And without Anonymous doing that, you probably wouldn't have, what's her name? Leanne Remini. Is that her name?
Lee Remy.
Lee Remini? What? I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah,
Remini,
whatever.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's Stacey Croce from Saved by the Bell. We wouldn't have Stacey Croce from Saved by the Bell telling us about, the god that they worship in Scientology, Xenu, and all the stuff.
Have you ever seen any of the stuff, any of the interviews with Ron Miscavige, David Miscavige, the head of the church's dad?
Oh yeah.
It's like some of the stuff he talks about is fucking creepy, man.
Yeah, it's creepy, and it's a cult. It's a cult, and go back and listen to our show on Scientology.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys have done one on that already?
We've done Scientology.
That was a good show. I would, if people are into that, they want to know some stuff about Scientology, definitely check out Deep Issues.
We tried to get somebody from Scientology, Church of Scientology, on, but they had to get the church's permission in order to come on. And
they sent us a big circular logic thing about pretending like they wanted to come on, but it was fairly obvious that they weren't ever going to actually do it.
Yeah, they weren't ready for this.
Yeah, they couldn't handle
they weren't
the
ready to
X-Cast
take on
crew.
their ideas couldn't hold up to this duct tape production.
Something like that. Yeah. But no, we did a good show on Scientology. That's one I would check out if you guys are into that. But let's just break down some of the other things that they've done here. Oh geez, I wrote it down. I can't remember what they call their method of protest. The DDoS.
Oh,
DDoS.
Yeah.
Distributed denial of service.
Yes, distributed denial of service. Yes, you are. Thank you, Dorf. And that is basically what they try to do. In essence, they just make it so your company can't run. And in some of these companies, that can be a loss of $10 million or something. I mean, if you can shut something down for a week.
Oh yeah, you think if they went and they targeted, some Fortune 500 or some large national corporation, like say they went and targeted GM or something like that, and basically shut down GM's intranet for a day, how much that would end up costing GM or whoever. I mean, not even a day, like a half a day, a few hours, if they're able to basically take GM offline.
Even an hour in the middle of a workday can be crippling.
Oh yeah, absolutely, something like that. Yeah, I mean, which ironically enough is probably more debilitating towards a larger company than it is a smaller company. If somebody went to
smaller companies, people still know how to do stuff with pencil and paper.
Yeah, like if somebody if somebody went and took down the company that I work for an hour, and it would mean nothing.
Even if they did it, if they did it for the whole day at 10 in the morning, they'd be like, "Listen, guys, just go home today, and we'll come back tomorrow and get this fixed."
If they did to us, it wouldn't be anything. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Dorf, even if they're able to take down Ford for an hour, just the chaos that would cause.
I work for a Fortune 500 company. If they were able to do that to us, like, that would be millions of dollars in business lost if they were able to do that to us. So
yeah,
and the techniques against DOS attacks over the years have gotten significantly better. That's why we don't see it on.
We losing Dorf?
Dorf, are we losing you?
Oh no, I can hear you guys just fine. See you guys just fine. Am I there?
Okay, yep. Say it again.
All right, I don't know how much you guys got there, but people's ability to fight DDoS attacks have gotten significantly better over the years because they've engaged IT security professionals on how to avoid it. You're not going to see that happen at companies anymore because the cost is too great for that defense to not be there. Mm-hmm. Essentially, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, and I'm by no means a professional, but essentially how a DDoS attack works is think that your website or web service or whatever only has 8 outlets that something can come through. All they try and do is jam up the line to the access to those 8 outlets and then just flood those outlets with useless information. Now, if those sort of patterns are detected, they're quickly shut down by IT security professionals, or even bots now can detect it well enough that will shut off access to the offending computer or the offending set of computers that are trying to cause that jam up. Which, if there's a DDoS attack, it may only last a minute or two, and they're back to normal because they figured it out and blocked off the source.
Another thing they like to do too is to spread the DDoS attack to not just a cyber attack, but I know something they'll do is they will send information to printers and to fax machines, mostly fax machines, and they'll basically just send a bunch of black pieces of paper through the fax machine. And in essence, what they're doing, you just used up all their ink. You just made them receive 300,000 faxes of black pieces of paper and just blew up the fax machine.
That's another hacking for the lulz technique there. You just you get a hold of a fax number. I can't even call it hacking, and you just repeatedly send it all black faxes to attempt to use up all the toner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's rough. One of the things they attacked as well, another thing that everybody out there hates, is the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah.
The Westboro Baptist Church, they've stood up to pretty much anybody. They don't care who hates them. They spit on soldiers, on dead soldiers' coffins, and show up to funerals and say terrible things and make a big mess. And the Westboro Baptist Church is nowhere near as big as people think they are. They act like this is actually a sect of the Baptist religion or something.
Yeah,
and it's not.
It's
not at all.
And the other thing about the Westboro Baptist Church, it's like 10 people.
It's what it really is with the Westboro Baptist Church is it's probably between 30 and 50 people, but really what it is, it's only 3 or 4 families.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like 4 families,
I think,
that have been, grouped together in this thing that are doing it. So they're basically, their numbers are really just the kids of the 4 patriarch or matriarchs of these families.
They actually kicked out the patriarch of the family. They
did they?
They excommunicated him. I think he's Fred Phelps. I think he's dead now though. But I think last I heard, there's a power struggle right now.
Probably.
Happening within what the hell is her name? It's Shirley Ropes Phelps or something, who's Fred Phelps' daughter, and some outsider guy who moved his family, I think, to the compound there, and is now, I think, trying to basically take over the church. I digress. Shitty.
Yeah, when they were gonna go to all the Sandy Hook funerals, that's when Anonymous stepped in, and they actually did get Westboro Baptist Church to back down. They didn't show up because they just did their stuff, did their hacktivist stuff, and screwed them up. It didn't stop them forever. It didn't stop them from doing the next one, but they actually did. They called that one off because they just couldn't get through. Couldn't make it happen.
God, if somebody ran over them with a car especially a Sandy Hook funeral, seriously, would...
Yeah, the thing is with the Westboro Baptist Church, like we were saying with their size, that there are a group of people that just needs to be ignored.
Yeah.
Just stop talking about them in the press. Stop, let them show up to funerals every once. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. They're useless. They're useless people. But hey, Anonymous seems to be the only one who's actually been able to kind of hit them where it hurts and make them back down from something. So again, good for Anonymous. When WikiLeaks was first under fire, when big business was really coming out against WikiLeaks when it first came under, they Anonymous brought in Operation Payback, it was called, and they basically just hit these companies hard until they backed off WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that. They would have been shut down and destroyed completely if it weren't for that. They also did a thing to help Julian Assange, in the same way. One thing
I have a feeling the part of the reason that WikiLeaks is still around is because everybody, they're sort of protected, or at least there's a threat of being protected by a group like Anonymous or anybody else, another internet hacking collective who values them. Because if you go after them, let's call it the people that know how to fuck up your life through the internets will all come after you if you go after WikiLeaks. So I think that's part of the reason they're sort of semi-protected. And realistically, that's the group of people that really scares the powerful and the influential shitless.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, Dorf. Because when you think about how much of our daily life is affected by technology and computers. Yeah. I mean, it's like
at the same time, like, if they wanted to, internet hacking collectives could bring this world to its knees.
Yeah, they could. But it's like, it's as simple as, when you go to a restaurant, who's the last person you want to piss off?
Yeah. Right.
Is your waiter or waitress?
Yeah.
You don't mess with somebody who handles your food. Just like in this case, you don't mess with people who could have a massive stranglehold on the internet.
Absolutely. One of the kind of weirder things I thought that Anonymous did over the years is you kind of view Anonymous as like a anti-government thing, an anti-establishment thing. But when Chinese hackers attacked the U.S. a few years back, Anonymous actually retaliated for the United States, in essence, and hacked the hackers and put that to a stop. So that's almost like, geez, they've like came to defense of the United States. So that's kind of different, for sure.
I think it is. And I think on the surface it would appear that's the case, and it may be. It seems like more so that Anonymous was, getting back at, another government.
Sure. For sure.
Trying to encroach on their on their turf almost. You know what I mean?
It definitely, but it just showed that they weren't just on the side of making a mess.
Yeah.
They were, picked a side, one government against the other one. One thing I thought was weird that I just kind of heard recently is a common misconception about Anonymous, and Anonymous would tell you this, but I think the world thinks of Anonymous as this group of master hackers, this group of computer geniuses who can hack anything. And Anonymous would tell you that actually isn't really the case. That a lot of people involved in Anonymous are just kind of computer novices. They don't know much, but like their original mantra said, none of us are as cruel as all of us. They just need bodies, digital bodies, albeit, to help them with these attacks. They don't all have to be master hackers. to do this. A lot of them are just people on a computer, just sending an email, doing the little things.
If you're right with the cause, then
Yeah.
welcome aboard.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing with Anonymous. Anyone can join. Anybody can join.
Well, there's not even anything to join.
Right.
And here's the other thing with the anonymity that comes with that, people can jump in at any time and take large influence over the group as long as, your credentials back up. If you're able to prove your abilities and skills as a hacker, you may be able to take over the pseudo direction and pseudo organizational power that the group holds if you're up to snuff.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of, hey, let's go, our next takedown is going to be,
Bob's Computer Shack, whatever.
Bob's Computer Shack, yeah. I mean, let's go after them, or, let's go and take down some NSA, computers. Let's do that. And, I mean, in that sense, Dorf, I think if you're like, if that one person, is like, hey, I have the means to do this, here's how we can do it, then that guy's probably gonna, if he has a sound plan and he has all of the correct pieces in order to do it, then he's probably gonna be the guy that's gonna be directing in that certain sense.
And it seems to need to be something that a good portion of them can rally behind.
Yeah, but that's the type of, in some sense, the organization that you're going to get with some of these decentralized groups, though.
Right. One of the problems that stems from that is that, especially in recent years, the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of threats from Anonymous that don't come through. Mm-hmm. And I know some of the people that are high up in Anonymous or that are more followed in Anonymous, this annoys them. This annoys them because it makes the group look bad. If you're just making, you come out with a video of you wearing a Guy Fawkes mask and your voice is all screwed up and you make some claim that's BS, that was never true. One of the examples of this was they kept coming out saying that they had pictures of Ted Cruz cheating on his wife. They kept coming out with it. Well, Anonymous ended up looking kind of stupid on that one because they never made good with it. And if they can't make good with it, well, then it must not be true. It must have been nonsense. So
yeah, they're the ultimate Pixar it didn't happen group.
Sure. But some of the things where they did rally behind and get behind it was Uganda, for instance, extremely anti-gay by their laws, illegal to be gay in Uganda. They hacked the hell out of the Ugandan government, and they just pride flags everywhere, and just basically hacked their computers to show gay pride things, and it made a difference actually. Some of their politicians even kind of backed down on their anti-gay rhetoric because, well, they just kind of had to, whether they believed it or not. They just couldn't keep it up. When Iran had huge problems with censorship,
elections too.
They came.
I think that was in 2008 or 2009, I believe.
They actually had a full other sect of Anonymous, just called Anonymous Iran, where people were just, they opened up the airwaves. They showed them that everything they see was being censored, so we'll just uncensor it, or at least make the world know, or make the country of Iran know that what you're being told isn't true. Whether believe us, believe them, believe nobody, but it's being censored and it's not true. They basically went to war with ISIS. They just had basically a war with Daesh, it was called, and they actually, in some ways, Anonymous almost kind of, they did it. They attacked ISIS. They were very successful, and then they just kind of got lazy. They just released guides all over the internet on how to mess with ISIS. just like a how-to guide for you, anybody sitting at home. Hey, you want to mess with ISIS? Here's a starter guide. Here's a free starter set. Free starter set on how to mess with ISIS, and they just put it out there. They almost like subcontracted it to the rest of the world. Like oh, I don't like ISIS. Oh, you don't like ISIS too? Here, use this. This might come in handy. Here's a little little buyer's guide, a little like strategy guide, like you used to get with Nintendo games back in the day before the internet. Like, oh, here it is. Just a little booklet we put out. This is a how to mess with ISIS. They one that people really seemed to get behind was they exposed a whole bunch of child pornography rings on the dark web. I mean, they went out. They are directly to blame or to thank for they closed over 40 child porn sites
on the dark web.
On the dark web. I mean, just shut them down. Just found them, shut them down. They over 1,500 predators. They basically ended up being caught by authorities because of their work. Just exposed them. Just said, oh, well, the FBI and the NSA aren't good enough to find these guys. Oh, we'll do it, and we'll just email them the information. Like, hey, it's this guy. This is his address. This is what he looks like.
And at the same time, they don't have to play by pesky due process and
right
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Do you want to put any conspiracy theory tinfoil hats on here and say that Anonymous is allowed to exist by forces like the FBI because for the amount of annoying things they do, they still help them out with other stuff, so like taking down those pedo rings or going after Iran or something like that, where they as a government actor necessarily can't do the dirty work?
Yeah, that's my secret, Cap. My tinfoil hat's always on.
Well, I think you could kind of see why maybe they wanted to have the Batman mask under consideration when they're doing this. I mean,
they're vigilantes.
Yeah, Batman was a vigilante.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, was were the Gotham City Police Department better off just let him Batman do what he does and
there was
standing back.
There was outrage too from some government organizations, from some police organizations saying, "Hey, you screwed up investigations by doing that." We had investigations deep in there. It's like, well, results are results, man. But yeah, you're right. Like Ben Affleck Batman says in one of the movies where he just says when people think he's going too far, he says, "Hey, we were always criminals, Alfred." And it's true, and that's the same with Anonymous.
Also, too, I mean, the FBI can't really you can't take down a decentralized organization. You just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
But I think
I mean the best they can do is just keep knocking them down as they come up.
Yeah. But I mean, you're never going to keep anybody down, and from that standpoint, I think the FBI, I think the NSA, I think all these large government entities know that too.
Yeah.
And they may as well
use them for what they're good at.
Yeah.
It's the best part and the worst part of a decentralized organization like this is that you can't take them down, but in some ways, a lot of times they end up, unfortunately, becoming their own worst enemy. And there's kind of a movement a couple of years ago that started basically saying Anonymous is dead. They don't really have the kind of clout they used to because there's too much infighting. They can't decide what they're doing. That's debatable whether or not Anonymous is dead. Anonymous says they're not, but some do. There was another group that splintered off, actually, a spin-off of Anonymous, basically called, I think you're supposed to pronounce it Lulzsec. Mm-hmm. And basically they are just they're a group that Anonymous. Okay, I guess the thing was, remember in Rogue One, the dude, Forrest Whitaker's character?
Yeah.
Who's like a rebel like they are, but the rebels think he's too
he's too radical for them.
Too radical for the rebels. That's like Lulzsec was. They were too radical for Anonymous. So they, said, no, these guys are not part of us. But then they ended up spinning off and becoming kind of, exactly what they wanted to be. They were really screwing with people big time. Trump, they got Trump's social security number. They threw that out there while Trump was running for president. The Anonymous got Trump and all his sons and put their social security numbers out on the internet.
Was it their social security numbers or their cell phone numbers?
I think both. Definitely Social Security numbers.
Okay,
for
it
sure.
may have been both then, because
Yeah.
I think I remember.
Well, Trump put out Lindsey Graham's cell phone number.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Whoops.
On purpose, just to be a jerk. So, but hey, I guess that's all part of the game, I guess.
Weren't they going to go after his taxes too? I thought I heard about
Yeah,
that.
I think that's what they said they were
Honestly,
going to
the
do.
amount of people going after that, if they had the ability to get it or they knew where to look for it, I'm sure it would be public already.
Oh, I'm sure it would be too. But yeah, I thought I heard about them going after.
The unfortunate thing is him and his the tax prep firms or his corporate accountants or whatever that file his taxes for him probably do the smart thing, paper only.
Yeah, could be.
Single copy, paper only.
Probably.
They hacked the Fed though.
Yeah, they did.
They hacked the Fed. I'm not quite sure what they did with it, but they did hack it.
One of the most interesting storylines in the anonymous thing, and yeah, there's definitely a conspiracy element to this, kind of like a conspiracy within a conspiracy, even, if you will, is weeks before the Obama Mitt Romney election, Anonymous, several people within Anonymous came out saying that Karl Rove had brought forth a plan to rig the election for Mitt Romney. That the election was going to be rigged, and that he had certain backdoor things into the digital voting that he was going to rig for Mitt Romney. And Anonymous says that they hacked his system and nullified it, in essence, and made it so that couldn't be done. Now, what's kind of curious about this is that, and you can find this video anywhere on the internet, is the night of the election when the when some of the reports are coming in that Obama is winning, Karl Rove is on cable news talking about this as an analyst, and he is indignant, refusing to believe that these numbers can be right. He's refusing to believe it. He's saying, "No, there's something wrong with those numbers. We're going to see here shortly that that Romney's numbers are ahead." And according to Anonymous, that's because Karl Rove rigged the election and was certain that his software was going to give this election to Mitt Romney. And according to the people within Anonymous, it's because they hacked his hack and undid it.
Took care of it. You know?
And yeah, that's a big time conspiracy theory, and I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe Karl Rove was just indignant because but if you watch these videos of Karl Rove, he is just certain that, oh, don't even worry, guys, those numbers are wrong. Trust me. And
Karl Rove's a hack.
He could be, yeah. I mean,
he was a kingmaker in the 80s and 90s, but since then he's a fucking hack.
Yeah, I mean, Bush wasn't elected till 2000, so I mean, you gotta give him some credit for that, I guess.
He's born on Christmas.
Was he?
Yeah.
That's neat.
Jesus, then.
Yeah, I guess so. Not really, but that was one of that was one of the most interesting things I thought in the anonymous storylines, is that they lay claim to unhacking or to unrigging the election, if you will. I don't know if that means that they rigged it the opposite way. I don't think they did, according to them. They're just saying that they just unrigged it and then the votes went through. Personally, I mean, yes, I'm a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, but I don't know how we ever came up with the idea to have any sort of digital thing in voting. That just seems so ridiculously hackable, and that's just asking for trouble when it comes to elections.
It's because
being rigged.
We're an instant gratification society. We got to know who won tonight.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it to actually be counted.
Or it's much more nefarious, and there's people that want to rig elections.
Yeah, that too.
And are doing so.
Come on, would anybody actually be able to wait another week for the election to...
They do it in other countries, man.
I could do it. Yeah, I could handle it. Oh, it'd be...
Oh, there's too much money involved now with, Decision 2020. The
Yeah.
program will go on deep into the night or whatever. and television program and all the lead up and stuff like that, and like, oh, the exit polls, and now CNN predicts we will call Wyoming for Donald J. Trump. Whatever.
I can't wait for ours next year.
Are we gonna do one?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
We got to dress up as somebody on TV though. Like one of us has to be Wolf Blitzer. It has to be from like the major networks though.
Major networks.
Jeez, can I go old school and dress up like I don't know, like Thomas Paine or something?
No. No, it has to be something now.
Okay.
So
Oh jeez.
I gotta think of like the major ones from each network. So CNN is Wolf Blitzer. MSNBC is what? Is it gonna be Lester Holt?
Oh, maybe.
So who's gonna fall on the sword and get a spray tan and be Chef Smith?
Oh no! Seriously, shotgun Rachel Maddow. I just
You're gonna be right. You're
yeah.
gonna be Rachel Maddow?
Can I be Rachel Maddow? I'll dress up like her.
Okay, that's fine.
If I can get a close shave going, I might look a little more feminine than she does. But
Let's see who you gonna be, Dorf?
I don't know. Who usually does election coverage for? I don't know. I guess I have to be Fox because I'm the right of center guy here. So, who usually does election coverage for Fox?
Well, it's one of their actual news guys.
Is it Shepard Smith?
Yeah, I say it's not like Tucker or Hannity or anybody.
Is it Brett Baier?
I think it is Brett Baier.
Yeah. What you
I
could?
don't know. Even
Oh,
know
they got campaign Carl. What's his name? Carl something.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. They just
I
call him campaign
couldn't
Carl.
tell you what. I couldn't pick Brett Baier out of a lineup. So.
I could.
Oh, I could. Yeah.
I could. You gotta grow your hair out a little bit though, Dorf.
Oh God,
Yeah,
we keep this
I
talk
am
up.
like
Anonymous
2
is
weeks
gonna
overdue
hack
for a
us.
haircut now.
Another huge thing that Anonymous was involved in, and you can't give full credit to Anonymous for this because a lot of different hacktivists and a lot of just different people were involved in this, but the Arab Spring, too. I mean, they had a big part to do with the Arab Spring, and that never could have taken place without the deep web and without putting it together through the internet, basically. What we were kind of talking about before is that what is Anonymous doing now? Is Anonymous still around? Are they dead? They have had some problems with a few rats. They talk about a guy Sabu a lot who is
The wrestler?
No, not
Oh.
not Rob Van Dam's tag partner. No, he was a member of Anonymous who kind of turned on him. He ratted.
Not that Sabu.
No, not that
Okay,
Sabu.
okay.
This guy Sabu. Basically him and a few other rats turned on the group and turned him into authorities and made a big mess and probably got a payday out of it or something. I'm not really sure exactly.
Probably avoided prison.
Yeah. But Sabu is almost like just something they say, like a name they say that almost just means like, a rat.
A rat?
Yeah. Just somebody that rats you out. I don't know. I mean, is there any specific ones that you guys want to talk about? EC dub! EC dub! EC dub!
No, this guy's still wrestling now.
Does it? No, I didn't.
He's like
Is he like
in
100?
Yeah, he's like in his late 50s.
And the radio for 2 hours continues here.
I'm actually surprised Josh is able to kind of carry this on a little bit.
My
Guys from
pro
Michigan.
wrestling, stuff, it's a little more eclectic than you give me credit for, man. I know you didn't used to let me be on the pro wrestling show back when you used to do it, but you're afraid I was going to rag on it because it needs to be ragged on. No, I guess the question I have is, and if you guys have any specific things you guys want to discuss still when it comes to Anonymous, that's cool. But discussion, the question I have for you guys, is this the future of Revolution? I mean, is this kind of thing what Anonymous is doing? Is this the future of Revolution, or are these guys just a bunch of immature trolls who occasionally hit pay dirt? And
They will never be the future of Revolution because they're too decentralized. They will never be able to follow up on rapid succession of events that will turn the tides long term.
But somebody could.
Yeah, but that would lose the nature
Says
of
the bleeding
decentral-
heart statist here.
Hey, I if that's what the mantle I have to wear, I shall wear it proudly.
geez, somebody has to.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, Dorf, I think it's implied in that idea that at the 11th hour, somebody would cease being anonymous. Someone would cease being the uncentralized figure and would
Step
come,
forward and
yeah,
say, I am Hacker King. Bow down to your new overlord.
or bring in somebody who they trusted or who they wanted. You know, I mean, but I mean, I do think there is potentiality for big political change in this.
I think you're right, Josh. I think that there is, and I think just because you're decentralized doesn't mean you can't be organized. I know that's one of the biggest misconceptions of anarchism, which we'll get into next week.
Absolutely,
is that anarchy and anarchism is chaos and unorganization, when that's not the case at all. I think this is part of it. This can be part of it. I certainly don't think you're not going to completely topple or do what you want to do just strictly on the computer. Even nowadays, it's still not going to happen completely. I think you need to find some solidarity with other groups.
Sure.
Willing to take the revolution from behind the keyboard out into, out to the streets.
Which Anonymous has done in the past.
They have done that. They have done that. And I think there's going to have to be a more collective effort, though, in doing that. I don't think it's just going to be Anonymous that does it. Anonymous can certainly take care of things from the computer side of things. But as far as getting the job done on the streets, that's going to take more than just Anonymous themselves.
And as we mentioned, too, there are many people within the group of Anonymous and other hackers and hacktivists out there who their goal really is that misdefined form of anarchy where their goal is chaos. They do just, they don't want controlled anarchy. They want chaos. They're definitely people who are out there for that. And that's not going to win a revolution or start a revolution or finish a revolution for sure, to just bring forth chaos. But that is a lot of them. There are a lot of Heath Ledger jokers out there in the in Anonymous who they don't have a political agenda, they don't have a set goal, they just want to watch the world burn. And that's so I don't see that sect of Anonymous kind of
unless their goal is to deconstruct and then from there move in and reconstruct.
And even then, kind of like we were like Dorf was kind of hinting at, they would have to be somebody.
They'd have to be collapsitarian, but at the same time, whenever something as large as a society or culture collapses, what takes over in the immediate aftermath is the group that was most organized to begin with, which is, for example, why you see, like in the Arab Spring, like in Egypt, why do you think the Muslim Brotherhood took over? It's because they were the most organized, politically ready force, ready to go when shit hit the fan. It wasn't necessarily because they're most politically influential. They just had their poop in a group. Like, that's the only problem is, unless, of course, you take down everybody who's got their shit together during your organized collapse there, it's, you're putting the arguably some pretty bad people in a bigger position to become extremely authoritarian extremely quickly.
The problem, though, with that line of thinking, Dorf, is just because one.
That's not necessarily a line of thinking. That's what evidence demonstrates to us is what's happened.
But just because it happens one time or in one circumstance doesn't mean it's going to happen again. I think the most important thing that people can take from shit like that is definitely what not to do and how to do things differently the next time something comes around. And I've mentioned it before. I've mentioned the Spanish Revolution, and I've mentioned for Ukraine before in the past. And I know this is kind of getting off topic here with the whole Anonymous thing, but if we're talking about revolution, certainly there are things to take from. There are pieces to take from incidents like that and figure out what worked and what didn't work. And the more things happen like that, the more times these revolutions come about and then maybe get struck down, the more that you have to figure that any future budding revolution is going to take what happened the last time, learn from it, and then do something different this next time around that's going to be totally effective. I mean, take for instance what's happening in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the protesters in Hong Kong actually had the riot police on the run today. They had the riot police on the run at the airport. They took over.
Here's
Hold on. They took over. They took over one of the largest, busiest airports in the entire world, and that says something.
It does.
Now, are they going to be successful? Are they ultimately going to be successful?
China
no,
parked tanks on the border today.
No, they're not. No, China. Yes, China's going to probably end up coming in. There's going to be bloodshed, and that'll be the end of that probably for the time being.
They will quell this uprising, but will they put a stop to the
it's
entire
going to be
movement?
Tiananmen, but worse and live streamed.
But you know what though?
Live stream doesn't bode well for the big government, though.
No, it doesn't.
Because then
Well,
they
at the
look
same
bad.
time, if anybody doesn't give a shit, it's China.
No, they don't. But my point is that even with a live stream, and even with the the tactics that are going out and being put out there by this group who has been pretty successful thus far, people are going to learn from this. Revolutionary groups are going to learn from this, and eventually, you may get to a point where, you know what? All these different combinations are coming up working now, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. Dorf, I do think you make some excellent points, too, by the way, with what you were saying. But one thing I do want to say is that it's true. You might have something imperfect or even bad take over after one of these revolutions. But if you're already under a totalitarian rule, if you're already under a corrupt government, if you're already under a system that you loathe,
rolling the dice is worth it? Is that what you're trying to get at
yeah,
here?
perhaps. Definitely. That is what I'm saying, yeah.
Well, look what happened too in Egypt when the Muslim Brotherhood did take over. They got overthrown again.
Mm-hmm. They did.
Yeah, military coup, 1 year later.
Yeah, and the president of Egypt is now dead. Was it Morrissy?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Not the
singer, but
you guys want an example of a revolution where something better came in, but it definitely did go I like the term you used, to the group that had their poop in a group. It's the American Revolution that happened.
Mm-hmm.
The American Revolution, they overthrew the crown, and did we become the perfect utopic anarchist society after that? No, we didn't, but it was pretty darn good. It was pretty darn successful afterwards, too. It grew into what basically became the greatest country in human history, really. Far from perfect, but it's still here and it's still kicking, and now it's getting to that point where, I don't know. Is it time for that same revolutionary overthrow? England was once that country, and certain things were overthrown. But England's still standing. They're doing just fine, but they sure did lose a lot of colonies around the world.
The sun now sets on their empire.
Yes, it definitely does. Right now, there's a whole bunch of people in Hong Kong who want it to be back.
Yeah.
Over there.
Which
I'd rather be ruled by England than ruled by China, too. Yeah, if
here's another thing.
Those
that
are my
I think
choices.
We need to do it. You guys either need to do an XCast or we need to do a POE on is what China is currently doing, effectively expanding its empire into the African continent. What's going on there now, and you could even argue outside of the genocidal brutality that came along with the European colonization, large scale, the economic brutality that China is committing upon many African countries in this current day and age is arguably worse than what went on under the European colonial rule, and that's something I think we should do a show on once you do a little bit more research into it. That's not something we can spring on you guys tonight, but done some reading on that recently, and it's fucking brutal.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to talk about human rights violations, China and Africa are the place to be. Whether they're on their own or from outside sources.
Yeah,
that is the truth. Before we go to Pumpkin here and pick our next topic for deep issues, let's kind of go around, do round table, and the question I kind of want to ask, our questions kind of vary depending on our deep issues topics, but the way I want to word the question tonight is just final thoughts.
Because Anonymous exists usually,
right? Yeah, this isn't a conspiracy. This isn't a ethereal thing or a spiritual thing we're discussing. This isn't a conspiracy. This is a little bit different than we've had in the past. Anonymous, are they good or are they bad? Adam Hernandez.
Anonymous is good. I would say that they're very good.
Do you want to elaborate at all, or just
no?
Dorf, Anonymous, good or bad? You have to start the sentence with the word either good or bad. You are allowed to elaborate, but there is,
largely okay.
That's not. That's not right.
It's a cop out.
Well, centrism.
You can back up your statement, but you got to start with good or bad.
Good, but I would prefer to judge them at a case-by-case basis. If we're going to do some of all goods versus some of all evils, I think they're a net positive. However, I'm not going to blanketly get behind them and back them 100% on anything and everything they've done in the past and or into the future.
No, net positive good that's a good enough answer. That makes sense.
Yeah, not totally centrist.
I'm kind of somewhere in between you guys. But yeah, I say good. I think for the most part, Anonymous is good. They are not perfect. They're, sometimes they're...
What is perfect,
Right,
though?
right. But I think, for the most part, their service, what they've done, is good.
Yeah, please
it's
don't
good.
hack us.
In fact, I think they... Yeah, Anonymous is awesome. Don't mess with our computers. We don't have a lot of money here. We can't replace them.
Anonymous is awesome.
No, but I do think Anonymous is good. I like what they do. I think I compare Anonymous to South Park, the show. South Park sometimes is stupid. Sometimes they piss you off. Sometimes they're way wrong. But for the most part, they provide a service to society, and we need them. We need them here to call out everybody else, And I feel like that's what Anonymous does. They're in some ways, I think they're the last line of defense against the real bullshit in this world. And I like them. I think they're cool. I like what they do. And even when they're a little obnoxious, well, we need a little obnoxious sometimes, So I like them. But, Adam, Dorf cannot... He has done an excellent job of filling in for Ed, but he cannot fill in for Ed across the airwaves and pick a name out of Pumpkin.
I cannot draw from Pumpkin.
Yeah, so he can. You have done an excellent job, Dorf.
I'm reaching at my webcam and it doesn't work.
If you were somehow able to do that, I would be freaked out.
So it is going to take two people.
Maybe I am a member of Anonymous.
It is going to take two people to kind of sub for Ed in this thing. So my son Alex is sitting in Ed's chair. He's been silent tonight, but he's sitting in Ed's chair. So Alex, please reach into Pumpkin. Careful, he bites. And pull out the next...
Don't look at it.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. You got to give it to Adam. Got to give it to Adam.
There you go. Thank you.
He has pulled out our next topic out of Pumpkin. He has handed it to Adam. And now Adam Hernandez...
There's only two more in there. So this is... So should we actually read off the next one, or should we just...
Oh, there's only one more left after this one he pulled out. I think we could. Yeah.
You know what? Let's just leave it in
Yeah,
there.
let's leave. Yeah,
Let's leave
good.
it.
Yeah, it'll still be a surprise to us. Okay, so the next topic for Deep Issues will be...
Which will be, since Ed's not here to actually do the quick math.
Oh, yeah, this is what Ed does, too.
Let's see. We're not a 5. This next one will be September 10th.
September 10th. And the topic will be Adam Hernandez.
Not Adam Hernandez, but it will be... What?
Oh, I hate it when Pumpkin and Adam fight.
Oh, I think I know what this one is.
What is it? Just read it off verbatim, and we'll figure.
I'm not, and you know what? I'm not looking forward to this because this is total tin foil.
Well, that's all right, and you can be opposed to it, but we'll talk about it. What you got?
Award shows as an altar.
Award shows as an altar.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Nope.
Absolutely.
I know what it is.
All right. Are you gonna blockade this one and hate on it the whole time, or are you gonna let us have a show?
No, this is gonna be all you and Ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Award shows as an altar. This can be a fun show. And we might have to find a way to turn off Adam's mic. I don't know. But September 10th will be award shows as an altar right here on Deep Issues. Come join us next week on Tuesday in these time slots where we will be doing Politics of the Empire. Our topic is anarchism, and we'll be back with webisode number 104 of the Xcast.
And we'll be telling Dorf why he's wrong about anarchism. Right?
Again. and then I will,
You'll be Dorfy and you'll tell us why you're right, and it'll be a good show.
Yeah.
And the people listening will decide for themselves.
I will rain on everybody's parade with practicality.
And the state will love him. All right, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been Deep Issues number 35. Deep Issues is old enough to be president of the United States now. Deep Issues number 35. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week.